Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health 411. I am really excited to have this guest come on, and we're going to be talking about finding a therapist. We've been having so many questions about how to find the right therapist, so we finally have somebody coming on to talk about that subject. But before I get started, I just want to remind everybody that Mental Health 411 is for information and entertainment purposes only. If you are seeking professional help, always seek a professional. Okay, so reach out to somebody if you think that you are in need of services. And so again, without any further ado, I want to introduce you all to a marriage and family therapist associate. Her name is Paola Leon, and she actually is affiliated with Paloma Therapy. And so I'm going to be bringing her on to talk about how to find a therapist. She recently did a blog, and I want to talk to her about that. Hi, Paola. How are you?
Hi, Nancy. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It was a long day. You look so good, by the way.
Good, thank you.
Exciting. I love it.
Thanks.
So you recently did a blog about how to find a therapist. And it's so interesting that you actually decided to write on that topic. On our Instagram page on Paloma Therapy, we have had different people reaching out, asking questions about how do I find the right therapist? What do I need to know? And so in reading your blog, you gave so much information, and I just wanted to kind of introduce you and also introduce that topic. So, just to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. So I'm an associate marriage family therapist. I am working at Paloma Therapy. I specialize in neurodivergent populations. I really enjoy what I do. I like to also work with the Latino community. And, I see clients from children up to elders. So it's a very broad spectrum. And what kind of I got inspired to write this blog is, like you mentioned, right? There's a lot of people seeking therapy, but they just don't know where to start. So that's kind of where I got into this blog.
Yeah. And so tell us, before we get started, I think just kind of like on a light note, what is something that you want to share about you? Maybe a fun fact, like something about your personality or who you are.
I am a Shih Tzu mom, so I am a dog lover. I am very passionate for dogs, and I think that's a fun fact. A lot of people don't know that. You really can't tell. And personality-wise, I am very creative and very outgoing. So it kind of ranges.
There you go. A little fun fact about Paola. So Paola, going back to the subject on how to find the right therapist, I think that also, like in the Latinx community, most of us, I'm not sure, just most of us and most people in general, we tend to not really talk about mental health, or, right now it's this big subject. Everybody's talking about mental health. But I think as we grew up, it wasn't a subject that we would talk about too much. Mm-hmm. And so when it came to finding the right therapist, I think I struggled a little bit. I felt at first like, well, whomever it is the person that's going to provide me with services. But I think most people don't really know that you do have a choice, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like sometimes when you go to the doctor and you're just like, okay, I'm here, and okay, what's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. Mental health is so personal. It's so different, and people have a choice, right?
Yeah, they have a choice. They have a voice, and I feel like that's something that it's spoken about. Just going on what you said, it's sometimes we think that we see a therapist and we have to stick with it, right? Mm-hmm. But no, it's totally the opposite. We have the option to shop around for different therapists, look around, try different therapists, as long as you kind of find that match.
Yeah. And so, what would advice, or what was one of the things that you mentioned on your blog that you think would be a good tip to finding that right therapist? Like, what can people do on that first consultation? A lot of therapists, a lot of us give 15 minutes free consultations.
Mhm.
Or just on that first session, should they feel pressure to stay? Or what can they bring with them in order to guide them?
Okay. I feel that it's 100% natural to feel sometimes that pressure that you mentioned of staying with that therapist, even if you just saw them for that 15-minute
Mhm.
consultation. But I encourage them to do a little bit of research. Take your questions to that 15-minute consultation, and those questions can range from asking that therapist if they have worked with individuals with
Mhm.
that are experiencing similar concerns that you're experiencing,
Yeah,
and yeah, just to kind of feel that they have that expertise, um, that you'll feel comfortable enough to navigate and explore your concerns.
right, right. And so really bringing with you maybe even a notepad, right? Like something to write down things that you like, and just, I think that first session, or those first 15 minutes of that consultation, are so important in understanding, is this person the right fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be a person that you're going to be spending so much time with, and you're going to be talking to this person maybe possibly about things that you've never talked to anyone about. And so that is so important, to have that connection of being comfortable enough that you know that you're going to be able to talk to that person. And that being said, so
Mm-hmm.
many there's just so many directories now, and just so many places to look for therapists. Specifically, I think that sometimes now people are gravitated to looking towards a therapist or a provider who they can relate to, like maybe someone that maybe culturally, maybe by religion, just by so many things, by identity, right? There's just so many things that people look into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's so many factors. And sometimes those 15 minutes consultation is, take advantage of it. It's like if you're doing a interview, right, to that therapist, kind of like a job interview. So you want to get all that information. You want to get your questions answered. And like you said, trying to find that match. If you're looking for like a bilingual therapist, that's a question you can ask. If you're looking for a specific modality or treatment modality, that's another good question that you can ask that therapist.
And I'm just like thinking about, you specialize in neurodivergent populations, and I think that as is, so many people have such difficulty finding and reaching out to a therapist. Have you found that in the specialized population that you work with, that it's a little bit different? That sometimes it's okay to ask for support from a family member. I don't know. Do you find that sometimes people need to reach out for mental health services, but at the same time, maybe talk to a family member or a friend and say, "Hey, can you help me on this journey? Can you help me find someone?" Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I feel like that's very beneficial, right? To have that extra support and that healthy communication, that open communication with, first of all, a family member that can be there with you through your journey and this process of shopping for a therapist. Um, Sometimes it's going to be a trial and error, right? So, kind of like in my blog, I think I mentioned one size is not going to fit most of us, most of all. And so we all have different personalities. We're all humans. And we all have different needs also when it comes to therapy.
Yeah, and another thing that I'm just thinking about is also that I think many people don't know that there's therapists specialize in certain communities and populations.
Hmm.
And that's also important to understand. Unlike, I think, example, a dentist or a doctor, or just like so many other people in the medical field that are more maybe general. A lot
Mhm,
of therapists, they will specialize in a certain population, and I think
mhm,
that's important too. I think that many people don't know that
mhm,
that there's therapists that, like you know, specialize in neurodivergent populations. There's
mhm,
therapists that work with couples. There's sex therapy. There's therapists, you know, that work with trauma, some
mhm,
with veterans. I mean, there's just a variety of therapists and
mhm,
populations, right? And so
mhm.
maybe also thinking and sitting and saying, what do I identify with? And
Uh-huh.
then maybe that would be like another place to look for a therapist or a way, right? A pathway.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's another component also that plays a role in your journey of again finding that match, that person that's going
Mm-hmm.
to, you're going to build that trust, you're going to build that relationship, that therapeutic relationship
Yeah.
with them. And if you don't feel that connection in maybe not those first 15 minutes, but in a first or second session, like I said in the beginning, you have that right? You have that voice to switch therapists until you find the right one.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing too. I think that sometimes clients might think, okay, I'm already here.
Mhm.
And is that like a good place to be, especially when you're dealing with mental health? Like, well, you know, I've been with this therapist for 6 months and maybe they feel stuck. Is that okay?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-mm.
like really asking yourself, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel good. I don't feel like it's a good match and it's been 8 months. It's okay to move on to the next therapist.
Mhm.
Definitely trying to also keep that in mind that it's a journey and this is the maybe it's such deep work,
Mhm.
right? And this is possibly a person that you'll be seeing for a very long time. I mean, there's people that are in therapy for years.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's also important, like you said, to maybe kind of check in with yourself, see if if you're getting somewhere or if you feel stuck, like you mentioned, if you see any change, and sometimes when there's not that change, maybe you need, kind of like a refresh, a new start, a different
Mhm.
therapist, different techniques, different modalities. And that's always an option too.
When and you know, I'm just thinking about like what about you know, when you maybe had first gone to search for a therapist, do you feel like there's so much more now that you could have thought about then? I
Hmm.
think about that. I think about how, like, my first therapist, like I said, it was just kind of like, you know, I think I was in college, my undergrad or something, and I found out that there was a therapist right on campus, and you just go and sign in, and then they're like, okay, they call you in, and you're like, okay, hi, I'm here, you know, and then that was the person that I was with for a while.
Hmm.
But you know, as you get more experience and you understand the process, you understand how important that connection is. And you know, I was grateful and I'm thankful that that person was a good therapist and I connected with that person. However,
Hmm.
I feel like now I don't know if she would be the best.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, yeah, you're totally right. I feel like now there's a little bit more of like that education on how to find a therapist, right? And what to look for. And now there's like more options that we can look for. And like reflecting back on your story, that's how it kind of used to be, right? A couple of years ago. You said like a doctor visit, you're just there because maybe that's the only therapist that there is. And
Mhm.
it is intimidating just to your first session, just to sit
Yeah.
there and not knowing that you have that right to ask questions and, have options too.
You know, and I think that like right now, this itself, this piece is so important so that people out there who are listening or watching, that they're able to see and understand that us as therapists and we are in the field and we also have gone through therapy or are still in therapy and that we had that struggle, that we had those questions and it took us time, right, to understand our own power as people to be able to say, I'm not sure about this. It's just great information, I think, for anyone that's that has that question, like, how do I find the right therapist? And, where
Mhm.
do I go? What do I do? Because we constantly, we're constantly posting content on Paloma Therapy on Instagram.
Mhm.
And I think that that's something that's important. And also, one of the things that later on is going to be available on Mental Health 411, the website, is
Mhm.
going to be a directory of providers that are, in the area, in your area. We're going to start with the state of California so
Okay.
that people are able to find, number one, the directories, and also other providers within our own directory. But yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, there's just so much conversation about mental health right now, and it's great. It's great that people have more choices and that there's just so much out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I recommend for all the clients, future clients, to do a little bit of that research. I know it's sometimes going to be overwhelming to go on the browser, and there's a lot of options. Like I said, a lot of providers. But as long as you do your research, you know what you're looking for. That's going to narrow it down a bit, and just there's no right or wrong questions in therapy, and you can find your match.
Yeah, that's it. Like finding your match.
Uh-huh.
That's a key word there. And, I think, what about if anybody wants to read your blog and know more information? Because I'm sure there's just so much more on your blog. Or, what if somebody wants to reach out to you? You practice in the state of California. So anybody that's in the state of California can reach out to you, right? And so what's the website? I'm going to put it on here so that people can
Okay.
see. But what is the website where people can find you so that if anybody that's listening and not watching, you can let them know?
Yeah, yeah, of course. The website is www.palomatherapy.com. You can find right there the blog, and there's going to be more blogs coming up, so stay tuned. And you can also reach me through social media and Instagram at Paola Therapy. And,
Mhm.
just stay tuned, stay connected. Even if you just want to know, like I said, good things are coming, a directory, if you want to connect with others, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and then people can always so they can reach out to you at palomatherapy.com, and they can click on your page and connect with you directly, right? You do provide consultations so that people are able to talk to you and meet you, and you can answer their questions and possibly sign up for services. So
Hmm.
that's available. And
Yeah.
it would be Paola Leon on palomatherapy.com.
Hmm.
And then you're also on Instagram at Paola
Therapy.
Therapy.
Uh-huh.
So Paola Therapy is your Instagram.
Hmm.
Again, thank you so much for having this conversation about how to find a therapist. Everyone has that question, like, how do I find a therapist? That's like the first question that so many people will ask when, they find out you're a therapist, like at someone's birthday or wherever you're meeting with friends. And they're like, hey, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm a therapist. Well,
Yeah.
actually, that's not the first reaction. Some people, I think that a lot of people are like, oh, like massage therapy, and you're awkward. No, 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 not that. Like
Okay.
mental health, right? Yeah, yeah. And then the next question is, how do I find a therapist?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I think that's like always the question that comes up when talking about mental health. And so we hope that this conversation was valuable to many, and pass the word, spread the word. Mental Health 411
Mhm.
bi-weekly podcast, and we are just providing information on anything and everything mental health. Paola Leon, Associate Marriage and Family Therapist. Thank you so much for coming on to Mental Health 411.
Thank you for inviting me over.
Yes. Good to have you here. So, everybody, I will see you all next time. Thank you for being here, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.